Hi guys, Jamie from Boxing Life. Welcome back to another breakdown and prediction video. This week we've got Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder coming up. And this is a fight personally I'm very excited about, but I think just because of the delays from the last one and just because of everything that's happened between the two, was the fight happening, was it not? Now it's happening. And we're finally here, it's fight week again. Fingers crossed nothing happens this week, but yeah, it's great that it's finally going to happen now, and I just feel there's a bit of a downer. Maybe this week, the hype will start to build up again around the fight, but it just doesn't feel the same as the last two, I have to admit. I think maybe people are ready for the next stage of these two guys' careers to see them fight different guys. As much as trilogy fights are a great thing to find out, who is the top guy. Everyone's seen it before, But yeah, I think going into it, it's a very fascinating fight. But before I get onto that, I think obviously the Anthony Joshua versus Usyk fight just happened, and I guess for the most part it was a bit of a shock for most casual fans that Usyk won. It wasn't a shock for me, and me, just like a lot of other guys, predicted Joshua would win just because he's a much bigger guy. But unfortunately, he just employed the wrong tactics. And Usyk is a master boxer. We know he perfected his game plan against Joshua. And Joshua couldn't really get going, at the end of the day. He simply tried to outbox the boxer. And you're not going to be able to do that against someone like Usyk. How does this relate to Tyson Fury versus Wilder? Well, I think it's a big wake-up call for both guys, if I'm being honest. I think for Tyson Fury, he's been one to say in the past that, you have to be active as a fighter. And guess what? Ever since that win over Wilder, he's not been. And he's not had a fight since, and likewise with Wilder. And I think for Fury, I think it's a bit of a wake-up call of being very careful against Wilder. And I think for Wilder, I think it strikes a bit of inspiration to show you that anything can happen in boxing. As we all know, it just takes one punch, especially with Deontay Wilder. It's a bit different with Usyk. Had to use his boxing skills for 12 rounds, to really dominate and prove why he should be the next heavyweight champion by beating Anthony Joshua. Whereas Wilder, he just needs to be a bit more patient in his approach and wait for that shot. But getting onto that, I guess let's just break down both fighters. I'll also bookmark it if you just want to find out about one guy. And then at the end of this video, I'll give you my prediction. So let's get right into it. So in terms of Tyson Fury, obviously, after beating Wilder, I think majorities of us, kind of expected the rematch to happen. But then what happened all over the world, and that delayed the process. And then the legal proceedings, Wilder was obviously able to make the third fight happen. So, Team Fury really had no choice but to take it. Or they'd be really out of pocket. So I don't blame them for taking it. I still think the Joshua fight will happen one day, but at the moment it's Tyson Fury versus Wilder, and that's what he needs to focus on, because he has to focus on that, because Wilder is so dangerous with that right hand that it doesn't matter what heavyweight you are, you cannot take it for granted that thing could land during the fight. Now, obviously in the last fight, we saw a come forward approach, that Kronk style, setting the jab, that 1-2, and it worked tremendously well. He pushed Wilder on the back foot. Wilder didn't really know how to cope with it. And yeah, I think it was a bit surprising. He probably, let's be honest, they probably felt he was going to come out again like he did in the first fight, because that's what Tyson Fury does. He talks a lot of shit, if you're being honest, and he was saying before that fight, I'm going to come forward, I'm going to smash his face in or whatnot. And they probably took it as tongue-in-cheek, just for the press conference. But to be fair to Fury, he said what he was going to do. He came forward, he put Wilder on the back foot and put the pressure on, and Wilder didn't know what to do. He really struggled. He got off a couple of good shots in that fight, but overall Fury just he dominated the fight. And I think it's the right approach to make again going into this fight, and I very much expect him to be kind of using that style again, if I'm being honest. He's still working under Sugar Hill, they'll want to take out Wilder again, and I think that will be the game plan. Put him on the back foot, But I think there will be a sense of more cautious, and especially in that kind of first round, he will put the pressure on. Fury, if you ever watch Fury in a fight, he like runs out in that first round to meet them head on, but usually then goes back on the back foot. But I expect him to do that, and just check him out, see what he does. I recommend you watch my boxing style analysis video of Tyson Fury at the end of this video, and it's very hard to pinpoint what Fury will do. He's a very unpredictable guy when he's in the ring. He basically boxes off instinct a lot of the time, in my opinion, and that works in his favour tremendously. However, it can also work against him where he can slip up at times, where we saw in that first fight with Wilder where he did get clipped. But yes, he was coming off the back of the depression and the obesity and all the issues he had. So, you know, it's a bit different going into this one. You know, there's going to be ring rust for him and Wilder. However, I think they'll employ very similar tactics, and they'll try to take him out and finish this once and for all, no questions asked. That will definitely be the plan of this fight, unless we see something different from Wilder, and that's getting on to Wilder now. So for Deontay Wilder, it's crazy to think that people, you know, after that second fight, you know, people are saying hands down there's no way Wilder beats Fury. However, he's gone away and taken up a new trainer in Malik Scott, and I have to admit, you know, looking at all the training footage, he's looking a lot slicker, he's looking a lot better, he's doing better things with the mitts and, you know, hitting to the body, and, you know, and that's not something you usually see, you know, Wilder going for a body shot. You know, he seems to have honed his technical skills a little bit better under Malik Scott. However, that it's a bit too late, in my opinion. I think as much as he will maybe be a bit more technically better coming into this fight, just the way he's been training, and I think we will see improvement in him being a lot better against Fury in terms of, you know, his ability to withstand that pressure. You know, I think that's what they're expecting as well. They're expecting Fury to come out for the hunt. I think Fury will want to see what he does in that first couple of rounds, just to see if there is any change. But then they'll be able to adapt, and that's the thing with Wilder. You know, I think at the end of the day, I think we might see something a bit different. I think eventually, as soon as he starts to get a bit tired and Fury starts putting his body weight on him and putting that pressure on, he will resort back to his old ways of looking for that straight shot or that overhand right. And I think it's just a matter of Fury not switching off more than anything in this fight. He can't afford to, you know, give Wilder a second. Now, this is the thing, you know, Wilder can win this fight from that right hand. That is no doubt at all. However, with Fury, he needs to, you know, be very smart and be thinking the whole fight, not to get caught out. As much as Wilder can come across as a bit of a loose cannon, you know, he can take out anyone, and that is the, you know, especially at heavyweight boxing, if you have that power, you're going to use it. And that is why I'm intrigued to see this fight, to see what he comes out with, because this is the thing, you know, Wilder might look to try and throw different shots from different angles, which Fury isn't expecting. I think Fury will be able to adapt to that, of course. However, you know, him changing up his style, you know, going for the body of Fury, you know, it might just, you never know, it could just for that one instance make Fury lose his concentration, drop his hand, and then lead for an opening. You know, that's all it takes for Deontay Wilder. You know, for people like me, they're all about the sweet science, and I can understand why it frustrates people seeing him with his horrible technique. However, you don't want to be at the end of those shots regardless, and you have to take advantage of what you have. You know, at the end of the day, boxing is just two guys fighting. As much as, you know, I like, you know, personally like looking at the finer details, and these top guys, as much as they do say, oh, it's just a fight, trust me, you know, they are looking at the finer details before the fight. But, you know, as soon as you get punched in the face, and for any of you that have boxed, you know, you'll know when you get hit, you know, it all goes out the window. And I think for that reason, you kind of need to look at Wilder for what he is, you know. And I also recommend you check out my Wilder boxing style analysis at the end of this video too. and that can kind of give you an idea of what he tries to do. You know, he's pretty simple in his style and what he thinks, you know, as a boxer, you know, what he naturally tried to do. And he doesn't have the ring IQ in particular, but he will try and do certain things, such as, you know, breaking the guard, for example, and just being patient, you know, looking for that counter right, and even just, you know, waiting for the opportunity, you know, the gap in the guard. And as much as you say he's not the most technical boxer in the world, well, yeah, of course he's not, but you know, why would you need to be that technical if you can knock out that many guys with your right hand? And that kind of goes into my prediction, and I might be wrong again with this one. So going into my prediction, guys, I think you can discredit the last two fights. Considering everything, Tyson Fury dominated the last two fights. Now, Wilder has clipped Tyson Fury a few times during those fights where there has been some shakiness in Fury. However, you cannot deny that he's not going to be able to do that again. Fury as well has also been in with him for, you know, 19 rounds he's been in with Wilder. You know, he knows how, and he's pretty much beat him in almost all those rounds, if you're being honest here, okay? And for that reason, I expect Fury to probably win down the stretch, or even I could even see it going 12 rounds just because of the ring rust. And that's just for both guys. I think we will see improvements from Wilder, especially in the early rounds, but he will resort going back to that right hand. Now, I might be completely wrong. Wilder might pull it out of the bag with one shot and knock out Fury. That is a total possibility, and it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. However, just going on the last two fights, Fury should win this fight. There's no excuses. He's pretty much dominated throughout the whole way through this whole trilogy. Apart from a couple of scares from mainly the first fight. He did get clipped a couple of times in that second fight, but it really was nothing. And for that reason, Fury should win this fight. Regardless what happens for both guys, I'd like to see them fight someone else next. I do not want to see, you know, I wouldn't be surprised as well if there's something controversial happens in this fight. Another, you know, hopefully it's not like another draw or like disqualification or something. I think after this, these two need to move on with their careers and fight different guys. Fury needs to fight Joshua or Usyk, and like with Wilder, he needs to fight someone else apart from Fury. You know, he needs to go on to fight Joshua or Usyk himself maybe, or Dillian White, something like that. You know, I think for the sake of boxing and even the heavyweight division, it just needs to change and progress now. And there's just a danger of it just becoming a bit flat, and I think that's the issue around this fight at the moment. It just doesn't, there isn't the appetite, you know, compared personally, I think, compared to the Joshua Usyk fight. That was, you know, there was so much more chat about that. I felt everyone's seen this. I think everyone wants to see new contests all the time. Yes, it's good to see a rematch now and again, but for the most part, I think for boxing fans, we want to see something new. Hopefully this can kind of clear the air up who wins. I think even if Wilder wins this fight and knocks out Fury, for example, I think even for Fury, it's best to just move on and fight some other guys. You know, get the fight with Joshua, get the fight with Usyk maybe, and same with Wilder, you know. But yeah, very interested to find out. I'm excited for this fight, as much as maybe people haven't been really talking about it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. Make sure to check out my boxing style analysis on both guys, or you can watch my training reaction video as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, or if you're new here, please subscribe. I don't really usually do these, I only do these breakdowns for more of the bigger fights, but I might start doing like a weekly roundup maybe, or maybe a monthly show, I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking about what to do, but yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Appreciate the support.